They say we are free. Free to think, to choose, to dream. But what if every choice you've ever made was never really yours? What if your thoughts were planted, not by force, but by repetition, by suggestion, by the quiet voice of the world whispering, "This is who you are." From the moment you wake up, the world feeds your mind, shaping what you believe, what you fear, and even what you desire. You scroll, you react, you repeat. And without realizing it, the system rewrites you. Not with violence, but with comfort. Not with chains, but with distraction. You think you're becoming more connected, but in truth, your mind is being silently programmed. This is not a conspiracy. It's a design. And once you see the pattern, you can never unsee it. Tonight, we go inside that pattern to uncover how society rewires your mind without you ever noticing. Welcome to the silence that controls you. The last free thought. Lucas always believed he was in control. He had opinions, strong ones. He thought for himself. At least, that's what he told everyone. He scrolled through headlines, debated online, defended his views. He was convinced that his thoughts were born from logic, from clarity, from his own understanding. But one night, as he stared at the blue glow of his phone, something strange happened. Every post he saw felt familiar, too familiar. Different accounts, same outrage. Different voices, same phrases. He wasn't reading new ideas. He was reading reflections of himself, multiplied and mirrored by millions. He froze. His thumb hovered above the screen, trembling slightly. In that moment, a whisper crossed his mind. Am I really thinking, or just repeating? That question didn't leave him. It followed him through the night, through work, through every conversation. And slowly, the world around him began to look artificial. People laughed the same way. They argued the same points. Even their silences felt synchronized, rehearsed. So one evening, without warning, he decided to disappear. He turned everything off: the phone, the laptop, the TV. No screens, no feeds, no noise, just silence. The first hours felt peaceful. But then, the silence began to roar. He could hear his mind again, but it didn't sound like him. Every thought that surfaced carried someone else's voice. The words of politicians, the tone of influencers, the fears of strangers. He sat by the window, staring at the night sky, and realized something terrifying. He didn't know how to think anymore. For years, he had been programmed, not by machines, but by patterns. By repetition. By stories designed to trigger emotions, not reflection. By invisible hands guiding what he should love, hate, desire, and fear. The realization was brutal. Because once you see the strings, you can never pretend they're not there. Days passed. No notifications, no opinions, no noise, only him. And the longer he stayed offline, the louder his own mind became. He began to notice things he had forgotten to feel. The sound of the rain. The taste of food without distraction. The texture of time when it's not filled with scrolling. But freedom came with a price. Without the constant flood of external voices, he faced his own emptiness. A void where his identity used to be. Who was he without the world telling him what to be? He spent hours just sitting, listening, waiting for something real to rise from within. And eventually, it did. A quiet thought, fragile but authentic, surfaced from the silence. Maybe, this is who I really am. It wasn't a grand revelation. It wasn't clarity. It was uncertainty, and that made it pure. Lucas realized then that the true prison wasn't built by the system. It was built inside the mind. Every belief he had defended was part of someone else's design. And for the first time, he felt the weight of what it means to think freely. Because freedom is not comfort. It's confusion. It's standing alone in the dark, without a voice telling you what to believe. He looked outside again. The city lights blinked like signals in the distance, silent codes transmitting obedience. And he whispered to himself, almost afraid to say it out loud. The society doesn't chain your body. It programs your mind. The invisible system of influence. Since the beginning, the system has never needed walls. It only needed rules, quiet ones. Rules so deeply woven into everyday life that no one questions them. We are born into a structure that tells us what's right, what's wrong, what's possible. We are taught to obey, not through fear, but through reward. And that's how control survives, not as oppression, but as comfort. From our first day in school, the lesson begins. Sit still. Listen. Repeat. Don't ask why, ask how. And every time you do exactly what's expected, you are praised. You are told you're good. But good doesn't mean free. It means programmable. The system rewards obedience, not truth. It shapes minds to follow patterns, to think inside approved limits. Every institution, education, media, religion, politics, becomes another tool of alignment. The goal isn't to create chaos. The goal is to create uniformity. A society that moves in perfect rhythm, one that never stops to ask who wrote the music. You don't notice the brainwashing while you're inside it. Lucas began to see this pattern everywhere. Every slogan, every trending topic, every viral outrage, all crafted to provoke emotion, not awareness. People weren't communicating, they were reacting. Reacting on cue. He realized that influence doesn't come from control, it comes from attention. Whoever controls what you pay attention to, controls what you become. And attention, in the digital age, is the new currency of control. The media doesn't need to lie to you, it only needs to choose which truth you see. Social networks don't need to silence your voice, they only need to surround it with noise. It's a system so elegant that it feels invisible. You follow trends because everyone else does. You repeat ideas because they sound familiar. You express outrage because it feels righteous, but even your anger has been pre-programmed. The influence doesn't shout, it whispers. It speaks through repetition, emotion, and belonging. It doesn't say, obey. It says, fit in. And when you do, the world rewards you with dopamine, approval, and a false sense of freedom. Lucas remembered something his teacher once said. You must learn how to think for yourself. At the time, he believed he already did. But now he understood, most people don't think. They imitate thinking. The illusion of independence is the greatest trick of modern control. You are given a stage, a profile, a platform, a space to express yourself. But every expression is guided by an algorithm that decides who sees it, how far it spreads, and what it's worth. And in that quiet manipulation, freedom fades into performance. The system doesn't suppress individuality, it markets it. It sells you back the idea of being unique, as long as it can measure, predict, and profit from your behavior. Lucas finally saw it. The invisible system wasn't just around him, it was inside him. Every reaction, every emotion, every choice had been gently shaped by a million unseen hands. He felt a chill, a mixture of fear and clarity. Because once you see the architecture of influence, you realize how fragile your mind really is. The system doesn't force you to obey. It makes you want to. The reward of conformity. The human mind was never designed for isolation. It seeks connection, approval, belonging. And the system knows this better than you do. Control doesn't come from fear anymore. It comes from validation. Every like, every heart, every nod of approval becomes a microdose of obedience. The more you fit in, the more you're rewarded. And with each reward, the walls of your own cage grow softer, more comfortable, invisible. Humans don't obey chains. They obey comfort. They obey applause. Lucas began to see how subtle it was. The way people spoke online, always cautious, always predictable. The way they shaped their opinions, not for truth, but for acceptance. He saw how easily emotion replaced thought, and popularity replaced authenticity. It wasn't that people were evil. They were afraid. Afraid of being different. Afraid of silence. Afraid of standing alone. Because in this world, isolation feels like death. So they trade their individuality for belonging, their curiosity for approval, their truth for applause. Every society creates its saints and its heretics. But in the modern world, the heresy isn't rebellion. It's independence. To think differently is to become invisible. To question too loudly is to be labeled, shamed, erased. The system doesn't destroy you for being unique. It ignores you until you disappear. And in a world addicted to attention, that's the cruelest punishment of all. Lucas noticed how easy it was to conform. It didn't require effort, just silence. Just follow the trend, repeat the slogan, agree with the crowd. And for that, you're rewarded with comfort, with praise, with the illusion of peace. But deep inside, something dies. The part of you that wonders. The part that questions. The part that dares to say, maybe the world is wrong. That's how the system wins, by making you proud of your own chains. He began to see how it worked everywhere. In workplaces, where obedience is called professionalism. In schools, where creativity is replaced by memorization. In friendships, where honesty is replaced by agreement. And every time someone dares to think differently, the crowd reacts. Not with curiosity, but with fear. Because deep down, difference threatens the illusion of control. The truth is painful. Most people don't want freedom. They want safety. And safety means being like everyone else. Lucas sat in a crowded cafe one day, watching faces glow in the light of their phones. No one looked at each other. No one spoke. Each person was alone, yet surrounded. Connected, yet empty. Every expression carefully crafted, every thought pre-approved. And in that moment, he understood. The system doesn't need to silence you. It just needs to keep you entertained. Keep you rewarded for staying predictable. He whispered to himself, "We no longer live to be true. We live to be liked." And the more he saw it, the clearer it became. The system's greatest achievement was not creating obedience through fear, but through pleasure. The perfect slave doesn't know he's a slave. He thinks he's free, because he's comfortable. Awakening, the cost of consciousness. Awakening never feels like light. It feels like loss. The first moments of awareness are not filled with clarity. They're filled with confusion, fear, and silence. Because once you see the machinery of the world, you can't unsee it. Once you understand the illusion, you can never fully return to sleep. Lucas had reached that point. The noise that once entertained him now felt unbearable. The faces that smiled around him now looked hollow. He walked through the same streets, but everything felt staged, as if life itself was a carefully rehearsed play. He thought awakening would feel powerful. Instead, it felt lonely. He started to question everything. Why people work jobs they hate. Why they chase validation from strangers. Why they fill their days with distractions to avoid the quiet voice inside. The answers were never clear, but the questions themselves began to free him. Because truth doesn't liberate you by making life easier. It liberates you by stripping away illusion. Every step into awareness was a step away from comfort. And the farther he walked, the more he realized that consciousness has a price. The price of solitude. He stopped reacting to the constant flood of outrage and noise. He stopped trying to fit in. And when he did, something terrifying happened. The world stopped reacting to him. He became invisible. No algorithm rewarded him. No crowd echoed his voice. In the silence of his disconnection, he faced himself, raw, unfiltered, unapproved. And that's when he finally saw what freedom really costs. Freedom demands that you think your own thoughts, even when no one agrees. Freedom asks that you stand alone in the storm of conformity. It means walking through life without applause, without validation, without the safety of the crowd. The hardest part wasn't seeing the manipulation. It was realizing how much of his own life had been built on it. Every belief he defended. Every opinion he shared. Every truth he thought was his. All of it, planted seeds from a garden he never chose to tend. He saw how his emotions had been hijacked. His anger redirected. His fears amplified. His desires manufactured. The world hadn't stolen his freedom. He had traded it, willingly, unknowingly, for belonging. And now, standing in the silence, he understood what few ever do. Consciousness is not comfort. It's confrontation. It's seeing your reflection without the filters of illusion. Who controls what you see, controls what you think. Who controls what you feel, controls who you are. He realized the true war was not political, not social, not even technological. It was internal. The battlefield was the mind. And every thought was a weapon, or a wound. Lucas took a deep breath. He didn't feel victorious. He felt vulnerable, exposed, yet alive. Because awareness doesn't give you peace. It gives you truth. And truth, though painful, is the only doorway to freedom. To wake up is to lose everything false. But only then can you begin to find what's real. Rewriting the mind, the return to the true self. Weeks had passed since Lucas disconnected. The silence that once frightened him had become familiar, a companion instead of an enemy. He had faced the noise, the emptiness, and the loneliness. Now, something new began to grow in that quiet space. Clarity. He started to rebuild, not his world, but his mind. Slowly, intentionally, piece by piece. He returned to the digital world, but with different eyes. The colors, the voices, the constant pull for attention, they no longer controlled him. He didn't react. He observed. He didn't believe. He questioned. He didn't consume. He chose. The same system that once programmed him still surrounded him. But now, he could see the code. And once you understand the code, you can rewrite it. He began to notice patterns. The emotional traps, the words designed to provoke, the headlines crafted to divide. But instead of fighting them, he simply saw them. And in that awareness, their power dissolved. Because control only works when it goes unseen. Lucas started to make small, deliberate choices. He chose silence over noise, depth over distraction, reality over simulation. He began reading again, real books, not feeds. He walked without music. He looked at the sky and felt something he hadn't felt in years, presence. The world hadn't changed, he had. He realized that freedom isn't escaping the system. It's understanding it so deeply that it can no longer use you. It's not disconnecting forever. It's reconnecting consciously. The return to the true self isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It's the slow rebuilding of thought, of emotion, of identity. It's remembering that you were never just what the world told you to be. He wrote down a single sentence in his notebook. Freedom begins when you stop consuming what the world gives and start creating what the world doesn't understand. That became his compass. He no longer feared the noise of society because he no longer mistook it for truth. He learned that every opinion, every voice, every piece of information must pass through the gate of awareness. And only what aligns with truth stays. Reprogramming the mind isn't rebellion. It's remembrance. It's returning to the self that existed before the world told you who to be. Before fear. Before imitation. Before the noise. Lucas looked at his reflection one morning, really looked, and saw a man not defined by algorithms or opinions, but by awareness. He wasn't fully free. No one ever is. But now, he could see the chains. And that sight alone made him untouchable. The mind is not a machine to be programmed. It's a universe to be explored. And as he stepped out into the daylight, he realized something simple yet profound. The system doesn't end when you wake up, but its control does. In the end, society only wins when you forget you're free. But the moment you remember, the code breaks.